You are the creator of your life. It's you. Your reality is based on your subjective experiences, and it is an amazing and freeing state of being when you know that everything you want, you can have.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Thank you for joining us today, Health in the Real World podcast. We're here today with Angela Spagnolo. Angela, how's it going today?
It's going well. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. I've had a lot of trainers on the show, and it's very interesting that so many of the trainers on the show are starting to talk about mindset, mental health, mindset, focus, your why, like why you want certain things. Tell us a little bit of background first about what you do, what kind of clients you work with, and how you're kind of related in the health field.
Well, I started creating the mind now about 5 or 6 years ago. And the main objective for that is to teach people and bring into the awareness that you have the right to choose. For that, I have to take a few steps back before I can go forward. I spent a lot of my life not knowing that I had the right to choose, that my life didn't have to already be predetermined, and I didn't have to see my life as something that was happening to me. And I wasn't in control. I just felt like I was just sitting in the back seat of life, and everything that was happening in the worst possible way. And I had hit the bottom of the barrel for where I was going to go for my life. Excuse me. So eventually you get so low that there's really nowhere else to go but up. So that's what I started doing. I started going up, and I started to pay attention to most of what I'd been taught and what I believed. And I think that as people, not everyone, but we don't see how big a belief is and what it will do for our life. So in the health field as well, like you have somebody who's overweight who wants to get thin, and that's great, and they can work out as much as they want and do what they can, but they always tend to get to that place of being fat or overweight or not loving their body the way they should, because it's more about whether or not you can strip away that belief that allows you to subconsciously believe that you are an overweight person that causes you to overeat or not eat healthy. Working out is great, and that will tone and help your body, but it really starts here. It does. I actually weighed 138 pounds back in January. I had baby weight that I needed to lose. And the funny thing is in my mind, I still feel like that person, even though I've lost the weight and I'm down to 105 pounds. So that goes to show right there. A lot of it is inside of my head. I remember I wanted to work out, but I was doing it for extrinsic reasons instead of intrinsic, which means I was doing it for like an end game or a goal. I was going to Miami and I wanted to look fit in my bathing suit. But once I got back from that trip, guess what happened? I stopped going to the gym. That was mainly because the goal had nothing to do with intrinsic. Like it wasn't about just me feeling better and using my body appropriately so that I didn't have back pain or at the end of the day, my upper shoulders weren't hurting all day long. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that exercise was meant to be, and fitness and health is meant for your body so you can go daily and feel well. I just did things because I thought that they were an outward goal and that was it. But that's not how it is. And that's the same for the mind. You can't make your life being a destination that you're going to get to. Right. You have to really try and enjoy the journey along the way and know that the process is incredible. And that process of getting to wherever it is that you're trying to go to is what's actually going to help you grow and become this person and step into whoever it is you want to be. But the only way to step into who you want to be is to first really get in there and figure out what's holding you back from being that person. What's stopping you from achieving these goals? What's this mindset, these limiting beliefs, the paradigm of this thinking that has you in this box or confined to be able to really fully expand and be that best version of yourself? And that's what creating the mind does. Is I take the time to have these conversations. I love it. I learn so much from everyone I've come in contact with. Most people think it's me giving. That's not how it works. I must be open open to receiving just as much as I'm open to giving to others. It's definitely an amazing process to go back and forth with people and see them transform into being who they want to be just through conversations.
And that's one reason why I wanted to start this podcast is that everything you said about the extrinsic goal, you went to Florida and you wanted to look at a bathing suit, and it was very future and outwardly driven, right? Versus this is something for me, this is something I'm doing right now because it feels good. The looks are the byproduct, right? So let me ask you this, diving into your story, you said earlier in the year you had the baby weight, 130 something pounds, right? That you weighed
138.
138. And then you got down to 105, but you said you still felt up here like the 138-pound person. What did you do, or what do you plan on doing in the next, say, weeks or months to get the mind to match up to where you've already achieved? Because it's going to creep back up. Like you said, you stopped going to the gym after. So what are some specific strategies that you would implement in that case to get you to really feel and to really own that 105-pound person?
For me, I should have been able to own the 138-pound person. I would constantly look in the mirror and think to myself, like, oh, when I lose this weight, I'll feel a little bit happy. And when I get to, when I'm back at like 119 pounds, I'll be happy. But I can't always control my first thought, but I can always control the second. So the second came in and it would say, Angela, you are beautiful. You've had 2 children in 2 years. You don't need to go around and feel like you need to be back at this weight. You have changed. Life has changed. You have changed with life, and so has your body. However, I did still hold the goal in mind of losing the weight and getting back to a place where I felt within myself comfortable. I knew I was carrying more weight than I needed to, especially for my height. I'm only 5'2". I don't need to be 138 pounds, but can I own that weight? Yes, absolutely. And I place absolutely no judgment on women who like to be bigger or thinner. That's everybody has their own choice on where they want to be. I just really wanted to lose the extra weight because I could feel it on me.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I look at myself, I think I love myself for who I am. It's great for me to have small goals, but getting there, having that process, that's amazing. I love watching myself grow as I go.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only do that if I am willing to love myself for who I already am. And in doing so, which is crazy, people don't understand, is loving yourself already gives yourself that added push to just keep going. Because you're like, I love myself. I want to do good things for myself. I want to eat better. I want to take certain foods out of my diet that I know aren't beneficial to me. And when you become in tune with yourself, your body, it lets you know when you're eating things that don't feel well. I started noticing certain things I eat, my stomach would be upset afterwards. So I was like, all right, this isn't working. We're going to take this out. And I started putting foods that made me feel good into what I would eat. And I was like, wow, this really does make me feel better. I feel good not eating, this is just my personal preference, not eating so much meat and having more of a vegetable-based diet. And when I started really loving myself and doing that, I started noticing the changes taking on just all on their own. There wasn't so much effort that needed to be put forth on my part, just loving myself. And then this happened.
No, I think that's absolutely true. And I like what you said. This is something I agree with 100%. There's nothing wrong with being 33 pounds overweight. There's nothing wrong with it. You're still a good person. You're the same person you were. It's like you said, when you start owning where you are, this is where I am. I love myself. And making choices like, okay, if I love myself and I respect my body as this temple that's kind of like holding my mind and my spirit during this lifetime, am I going to eat this entire chocolate cake, put myself in a sugar coma, and I know how that's going to feel, things like that. So I'm just kind of having flashbacks to when I was probably 25 pounds overweight when I was in college, and it was pizza and beer. And it's not that me being bigger was bad. It's not like, oh, Chris, you're a bad guy now. It's that it was sort of like a symptom of something that was going on, a negative self-talk. Because of the negative self-talk, I would sit in my room and eat literally a large pizza and a 6-pack of beer. Like, who does that? Who's feeling good about themselves, right? So, and again, I could have said a million times, oh, stop eating pizza, stop eating pizza, stop eating pizza. But it's great that what you're doing is you're digging a little bit deeper. You're asking those questions to people and getting what is the root of what's causing that. And then, like you said, it's easier than you ever thought, right? The choices just kind of take care of themselves.
That's exactly what I'd like to bring up very quickly is every bite is a choice. So that's all we have in life, honest. It's an incredible awareness to have. I'm so glad that it took 33 years to get it though. uh, I like knowing that I have choice. So let's say that today I choose to pick up the pizza and eat a whole pizza. I'm going to eat it and I'm going to eat it fully. But what I'm not going to do later is beat myself up over it. It was a choice. I
Yep.
made it. It's done. Now, in the next 2 hours, in the next 2 days, in the next 2 months, what will my choice be? What will I choose? Because that's all it is a choice in a moment. People always say to me, Angela, oh, you're a vegetarian. I say, please, I don't really like to be labeled as being a vegetarian or a pescatarian. I said, I'm a flexitarian.
Yeah.
And they say, what's that? And I said, that means that at any moment in time, I get to choose. If I want to eat meat, I can eat it. If I don't, I don't. But please don't make me fit into this mold of being someone. I am a choice. And in a choice, I mean, in a moment, I make a choice, and I love knowing that. And I want people to understand that beating yourself up after a choice you've made, that's fine. But do that for about a couple of seconds to know that in the future you'll make a different decision. But don't beat yourself so down that you eat the pizza again because you're like, whatever, I already ate it. I might as well just do it again. It doesn't have to be that way. The next choice, the next bite can be something different. Just hold on to the goal, keep the vision in mind of where you want to go, and then take the steps in accordance. So if you do want to be thinner, I don't suggest every day eating more than you should be and throwing yourself into just gluttony. But if you do it and do it fully.
And own it, right? And then, like you said, move on. And if you're saying that you want to be thinner, you want to be fit, yet your behavior is not matching that, there's obviously something going on upstairs that needs to be addressed. I really like what you said about don't label me, because sometimes I will realize that, wow, I haven't had any meat products in like 3 days. And I've tried veganism maybe 10 years ago, and I was a vegan, like a labeled vegan for a year. And now I'm like, I just, for those 3 days, I wasn't working out hard. I just had no reason to eat this heavy meat. And my body told me that. So I think it's important to note what you just said, that even though you have a choice at every moment, it's probably easier for you to choose a vegetable-based meal versus a bunch of meat. However, if, someone puts that Hawaiian pizza in front of you, or whatever your favorite meat pizza is, and you're like, well, sure, I'll have a slice, right? It's not like you broke some code, the code of the vegetarian or anything. It's like, hey, I told you guys, you're not going to label me. You're not going to tell me what I can and can't eat. This is a as I go kind of thing. And it just so happens that I think I do better on a plant-based diet.
That's the same thing for people. I'm not saying all people, and I love the ego. It's an incredible thing to watch. Everyone has an ego. It's the self-created person. It's the Chris, it's the Angela. It's the person that you can have a conversation with. And I notice more often people love to label themselves as things. Like they're like, oh, I'm so impatient. And it's like, but are you always impatient? No, I bet you've been patient before, but you just focus more on your impatience. And the only way to actually be a patient person is to be patient. And people tend to fall into this praying zone of, please just give me patience, just let me be patient. And it's like, well, that's not kind of how it works. You get an opportunity in which to be patient. So when my 2-year-old is screaming her head off and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, what do I do? Like, do I lose it? Am I going to lose it? And I'm like, nope, you're going to take deep breaths. Like, okay, I'm going to be patient in this moment. And that's when you be patient. And that's when that's when you choose. You choose who you're going to be every moment, every second of every step, moving into what we call the future. But don't beat yourself up for the choice you made. Just know that in the future, you can choose patience. You don't have to be impatient again, and just keep choosing. It's the same for people who are trying to do basically anything they want in life. Make the choice that you want, and then follow the action that is in line with the thought that feels the best.
Right. And then just little by little, one step at a time, you will create that future.
Exactly.
And it'll be the future that you want, because every moment of that choice is what you want, versus, again, like the fitness goal that's like way out there. And I resent every single step of it because I hate this workout. I hate this stupid diet plan my stupid trainer gave me, but I'm going to look good in a bathing suit in 3 months. And then, like you said, you just fall off the wagon completely because it's not within you, right? You're not taking one step at a time. Yeah. So it's not really your life, right? It's like, if you ask somebody, well, why do you actually want to be fit and healthy? Oh, I want to look good in a bathing suit. Why? Well, I want that. I want everyone to look at you. You know, it's always, but it's always that projection. Okay, well, if you want to enjoy your life at that point in the future, for that one day or that one weekend that you're going to be hanging out with all these people on the beach, why are you not wanting to enjoy your life right now? And who's to say that when you're in that moment in the future, you're not just going to be projecting to the future again
Of
from
course
that
you
point,
will.
right?
Of course
Yeah,
you will.
because you're getting in the
Something else will
habit,
be
right?
wrong. Yep.
It's like that movie. It's an Adam Sandler movie, Click. Have you seen
Yes.
that?
Yes.
He's
It's a,
always fast
that
forwarding the difficult part. Fast forward, fast forward, fast forward. Then the remote control learns, oh, you fast forward anytime anything bad happens, and then he's an old man and he's about to die. I don't know if you agree with it. I've definitely hit several rock bottom moments in my life, and there's like a beauty to the rock bottom
of,
moment,
yeah.
because you see, like, you're on your back, you're like, shit, I don't know how my life could get any worse right now, but you're like, well, that's the only direction I can go is up, and there's some power to that, right?
There's an immense power in knowing that the only way to go is in a positive direction. I love positivity. I like seeing the world the way it is. I had someone before I spoke with you saying, oh, it's all about just being positive. I said, not just about being positive. Being positive is great, but you can only lie to yourself for so long.
Sure.
And then we create cognitive dissonance. So when you're holding a belief, but you're acting differently than what it is you believe, that's cognitive dissonance. That's more things I go into too with creating the mind now. I really like to break down and let people see that you're not your thoughts. You are the thinker who gets to pick which ones and pick the ones that pull you and put you in this place that you love. And like you said, with Click, they just kept skipping over the bad parts. When I tell you I hit bottom, if you had seen me in January, I was the broken shell of a human being. I had lost my relationship. I had put myself, you know what? I could go on and on, but I know we don't have that long. I'm going to say this. Everything that happened to me, everyone around me was like, oh, poor Angela, you know, we feel bad for you. And this is difficult. And, you know, you're not living at the house anymore and your relationship's not working out. And I said, you know what? I did it to myself. I did it to myself. Every day I'd wake up and I think about everything I didn't want and what I didn't have and where I wanted to be. And I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And you know what happened? A crisis. That's exactly what happened. I got everything I wanted. It just didn't manifest the way that I thought it was going to. But every single thing I had been asking for and every single thing that I had needed had come out of that crisis. I had broken down once again, thinking, how did you get here again, Angela? How were you here laying here crying by yourself with your children? Like, what did you do? And I started realizing it had been my thought process. It had been not seeing the beauty in everything. It had been, honestly, I was in such an ungrateful state of being that had I just shifted a little and moved into that place of remembering that moments are great and that I could be grateful for everything I did have and stop wanting more, stop trying to be better, stop trying to be this person and just have been me, I might not have created the crisis. Well, I also wouldn't have grown into this person. I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't be sitting here. So I think that when we hit those places, they're moments of reflection and a lot of healing can be done. I did a lot of healing, a lot of childhood trauma that I started to see that I pushed away and I just repressed and repressed and repressed. And once you let that come to the surface and you start to see that maybe you don't need to behave the way you used to because that's a past trauma and you can heal, it makes it literally, even talking about it, I can feel like my body start to feel better just knowing that I don't have to hold on to any more trauma, especially if it's not serving me now.
Well, this is fascinating. I mean, that was 9 or 10 months ago, right? We're in October. This was January this year.
Yes. Yeah. January of this year, I had $218 in my bank account. I was living back home with my mother in a one tiny little room with my two kids. I had a top loft bunk bed. I was sleeping on the top loft. My daughter's crib was underneath, and my son would sleep with my mother when she wasn't there, or he would sleep in there. And I just remembered looking at my life at one point and being like, really? This is where I am. But then I stepped back and I said, you have your second thought, Angela. And I thought, really? This is where I am. Like, this is where I get to be. I'm with my mother. I have two beautiful kids. I can make anything work as long as I'm willing to remember that I am in control. This is my life. And then all of a sudden, one day, bam, everything changed. And everything started to come into my life that I had wanted.
Yeah.
And had put intentions out for. And that was a fantastic feeling, because just as quickly as everything fell apart, everything started to come together. But I never let go of the one thing that kept me going. It was hope, and it was faith, and it was the belief in knowing that if I just believed in it, I just asked for it, it would find its way to me, that it had to, because that's the law.
And you did the work too, because, and what I mean
Absolutely.
by work is that you when you were at that moment, that rock bottom moment, you didn't blame anyone else. You didn't
Nope.
look, you didn't point fingers. You realized, okay, XYZ led to where I am right now, which means change XYZ and it'll take you somewhere else. And that's one thing financially, I can definitely relate. I remember several years ago just having no money, having no food in the fridge, and after just buying a house, and I'm like, oh great, all my money is in this stupid house, and I want to go to the grocery store. This is ridiculous. And what I wanted more than anything at that point was to have an opportunity to work. I'm like, I'll work at midnight. I don't care. I'll scrub toilets at 2 a.m. I don't care. And what I think, and you mentioned this with your friends who were like, oh, poor Angela and all this stuff. I did not want anyone to ever say, oh, poor Chris, here's $20. I'm like, I don't want your $20. I want an opportunity to work, because I know I made this, and I think just owning it, and that's why I'm feeling really inspired hearing that you owned it. You're like, all right, let's turn this around, because literally this mindset is the key to everything. It's the key to fitness. It's the key to financial stability. It's the key to relationships. It's think about what you want, know what you need to do to get it, and just do it, right?
Well, I love that. And then everyone tells me, like, I don't want this and I don't want that. And perfect. We
What do
have
you
just
want?
come closer to knowing what you don't want,
Right.
allowing you to know what you do. That's
Exactly.
great. You're going to find a lot in life of what you don't want. Trust me, I have been back and forth with what I don't want, don't want, don't want, don't want. And every time I hear it in my head, and I'm like, great. So we're moving to where we do want. I always thought I wanted a yacht, a boat, a big boat. Guess what happened, Chris? Went on a boat.
You didn't like it. It's just
Boats
a
are
money.
not for me.
It's a money pit. I hear it's just like sucks your money out. It's just
Yeah,
like,
I heard
eh.
the best time, the greatest days of your lives having a boat is the day you buy it and the day you
And the
sell
day
it.
you sell it, right?
I got seasick. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
It was awful. So I that dream is gone, and
No
that's
boat.
also like a freeing financial burden. I don't have to
Right.
try so hard to own a boat. But when I was in that bottom place, I saw a lot of people around me kind of pity me, and
Yeah.
I was okay with that. I didn't mind. I know how most people want to see the world, and I saw it for, all right, here I am now. What do I have to do to get to where I want to be? I took every opportunity that came to me. I was a yes person. I had a woman come to me and ask me if I wanted to start being a distributor for this company. At first, I was like, I don't want to get, and then I was like, you know what? We're going for it. I went
Yes.
full speed into that. Like I said, I had $200 in my bank up, 218, in 2 days time, implementing and doing what she had told me without giving an excuse. I made $1,500 selling toothpaste, a whitening toothpaste. I sat on my phone, did the work that needed to be done. People would come to my house. I would give it to them. I would package it, mail it, whatever I had to do to get to where it was that I felt would be more beneficial to get out of. You know what I mean? I don't want to stay at my mom's. I'm a grown woman, but I didn't make excuses. I didn't sit there and think, oh, poor Angela, the world hates me. And that's fine. I did it for a couple of weeks. I was sad. I grieved. But then I got up, and then I started moving forward like you did. You just want the opportunity. I don't need a handout. I don't want them. I love kindness, but I don't necessarily feel as though handing me something will always solve all of my problems. I need to go out there and make what I want manifest so that I can experience it, so I can feel it, so that I know what it's like to be successful, because I worked and I did what I needed to do to get there.
Absolutely. So final question, we're going to wrap it up, Angela. This has been great.
Yeah.
Let's say a university has brought you in and you're going to be the keynote speaker at the graduation. What's your motivational speech for those graduates?
My motivational speech, here's the one thing I can take, is you are the creator of your life. It's you. Your reality is based on your subjective experiences, and it is an amazing and freeing state of being when you know that everything you want, you can have. There's no thing impossible. Thinking makes it so. Once you put that barrier in your mind that you can't do it, well, then guess what? everything else just kind of caves in because your brain thinks, well, I can't do it. So for me, that word I remember in kindergarten hearing can't and seeing it crossed out, and I'd still say can't now. It's probably one of the most like detrimental words I could use is to say I can't or I'm unable. No, I can't. I'm gonna. How? Oh, I don't know. But I believe that I'm gonna do it. And that feeling of belief and just having this unwavering, unshaking doubt that inside of you is this incredible strength, this beautiful knowing that you can do whatever you put your mind to. You see other people doing things you want to do and think, oh, they can do it, but I can't. Yes, you can. If someone else is doing anything you want to do, follow that person, watch that person, be like that person, and be better than that person by being you. And let your energy come out and show others that you believe in yourself and that they can believe in themselves too. And then magic happens. So, choice and the awareness of choice is one of the most important things that humanity should let themselves be open to, is the choosing and the knowing that you create your life. You choose your feelings, you choose your thoughts. And when you do that, you get to live a life that you love.
Well, you have absolutely no, as you were talking about earlier, cognitive dissonance. I can see it in your expressions. Everything you're saying matches up with your body language. And this, I just wanted to say that because I know some people think, oh, I just have to do affirmations and I am happy, I am peaceful, right? It doesn't work. You have to own it. It
No,
has to
I
be
tried that.
inside of your heart and your soul, right? And it definitely comes out with you. Angela, just to wrap up, how can people get a hold of you if they want to work with you, if they want to follow you on social media? What are your
Absolutely. Yeah. You can follow me at my LinkedIn. I have Creating the Mind Now, and my name is Angelo Spagnolo. So it's Spagnolo, which is Spagnolo. You can also find some of my blogs at creatingthemindnow.com. And to get in contact with me, I have a Facebook page as well, Creating the Mind Now. It's open so anyone can see it. And if anybody wants to directly contact me, I also have my email, which is creatingthemind.now@gmail.com. But I more so like to use my personal email, which is ang3la08@gmail.com.
Perfect. Angela, thank you so much again for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been an incredible experience, and I'm so happy that you and I could connect, and I look forward to keeping this friendship going in the future.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.